farmer is the guardian of the health of the nation. Our heart is always, how do we bring in, the best possible products for people to meet them where they are? So many small businesses, family-owned businesses, end up not thriving because the market is not designed to help them.
Not even in the middle of Azure. It's like, oh, she sells raw milk or whatever it is, and you end up at their place after meeting them at the drop.
That's where our heart is building community, right? Mm-hmm. And so we always like to say around here, food brings people together.
Hey, Mom, it's Trish. Every conversation, every story, and every resource I share has one purpose: to help you homeschool, not by adding more to your plate, but by offering creative ideas and resources to awaken your child's sense of wonder. Because homeschooling isn't just about curriculum, it's about building a love of learning, discovery, and lifelong memories with your family. God has called us for this task. So take a deep breath and welcome to the greatest adventure of your life. Let's do this together.
Good morning. It's Trish with Hip Homeschool Moms, and I am here for another homeschool conversation. And today I'm here with Karen Slusher. Karen is from Azure Standard. And if y'all are not familiar with them, we're going to unpack who they are and what they do. But first, let's start with who Karen is. Hey, Karen, how are you?
Hi, Tish. I am doing very well. Thank you.
So tell me a little bit about who Karen is. We've been talking. We when I get on these calls, we get to chat for a few minutes. So I already know who Karen is. And I said, don't tell me too much. Don't tell me too much. So Karen, now tell me everything. Tell me your whole life story.
Well, how much time do you have for that?
No. I know, right?
I'll tell you a portion of my life story. So it depends on, Tish, fully, what you want to know about Karen Slusher. I'm the Chief Experience Officer here at Azure. I joined Azure almost 10 years ago. We moved out here. My husband was in the Army. He retired. He's from this area. And when he retired, he wanted to come back home to his home area. And so I wanted to stay married. I decided it was important for me to come along as well. And the kids.
Well, that was probably a pretty high priority.
Usually, what you want to do. Sure. So we ended up out here in this little town of Dufur. And I thought, I was working for a really large corporation at the time, traveling a lot, and decided that life just needed to change for us. And I grew up in a family-owned business, and I wanted to kind of step back and get out of the rat race of the corporate world. Now, I have a very strong faith, and I had a really hard time pulling that trigger, stepping out of where I was. So I used to pray, God, move me if I won't move myself. So he did.
That's a good prayer.
Yes, because sometimes we're not willing to move ourselves. So I had to say, if I'm too stubborn to do it, then please move me. And he did. The company I was with was acquired, and when it was acquired, cut everyone loose but one of the divisions that they were keeping. And so I was part of the divisions that were cut. And in that moment, I thought, well, I don't know what I'm going to do, but God moved me as I had asked. And he brought Azure onto the scene here in this small little town of 600 people. I had no idea, actually, even living here, that I had heard the name Azure, and I had met with David a little bit on some finance work with the company I was with previously, but I didn't really know a lot about the depth and breadth of the company. And so my husband said, well, why don't you see what Azure has going on? And so it happens that I reached out, and they were just getting ready to go national for a position they didn't even have a title for. And wow. I still aligned with what they were looking for. And so God brought me here. I know it was intentional, in that it was the divine plan for my life to come here. And so I haven't looked back. Azure has been a family for me, as I was sharing with you earlier. David and his family brought me in and treated me as a member of the family. And I have felt that way for, as I said, almost 10 years now. So he and Kimberly have become like brother and sister to me. And having come from a large family and a family-owned business, it just felt so natural to step into a family-owned business and to support what Azure is doing, having a mission-aligned, company that you feel corporate, that you're supporting something greater than yourself. right? And so the idea of bringing healthy and abundant living to the nation, one of David, he said two things to me when I started. One is, Karen, helped me grow Azure without losing the heart and soul of who we are. So I wake up with that every
Aw,
single
I
day in my
love
mind for the
yeah.
last 10 years. How do I, every day, morning, afternoon, evening, that's always a thought in my head. How do we do this without sacrificing our core values and who we are as a company and what the foundation of this company was built on? And then the other thing that he says often is the farmer is the guardian of the health of the nation. And he is still a farmer. And so Azure has a 4,000 acre farm still to Felder family. And so that also is inspiring to me to think that our mission is to guard the health of the nation. And that's what we do every day. We look at how do we do that? How do we bring abundant living and healthy living to this country?
I love that. I love it. I knew about Azure, but I didn't understand how big, like you. I didn't understand the breadth of it. I didn't understand the depth of it. And so when I started really researching it, I was like, gosh, I love who you are. I love what you do. I'm messianic. We didn't even talk about that. I'm messianic. So I keep the Sabbath too. And so when I found out about that with David, I was like, oh my gosh, I found a brother. And so it's so cool to me to be a part of your mission and to come alongside of y'all. So it's exciting to me. So I'm thrilled that y'all are here. I'm so excited to talk to you. But there's something about your space that I absolutely think people need to hear about. And I don't know that, I mean, I know you've talked about it, but I don't know that my community will know about it necessarily. And that is so Azure has their own products and their own things that they bring to market. Like you were just saying, they have a 4,000 acre farm, which is huge and beautiful. Oh my gosh. I'm just a tiny bit jealous. Mine's 42 acres. So I'm a little jealous.
You'll need to come out and visit sometime.
I
I'd love to show
I
you
know.
around.
Oh my gosh. But the other thing is that y'all now bring in new partners and new relationships and new vendors, and how you go about choosing them and picking them and working with them and partnering with them is fascinating to me. So can we unpack how you do that and what you do and what the criteria is, and even more, why you do it? Why do you have this process? Because it's fast. That part is the part that I think speaks to the quality of Azure.
Sure, happy to do so. And I know a lot, many folks, I don't think really know that Azure started as a grocery distributor, and we still are one. We still support retail stores and food service. And so you may even have someone in your community, independents, mom and pops. That's our heart and where we focus. So we carry a lot of other brands because the stores look for other brands as known brands, as well as the ones that we bring to market under our own, what we call private label, under our own Azure brands. And many things come off our own farm and out of our own production. But then we have, to your point, all these partner vendors that we work with as well. And so the deeper story, to go back and talk about the kind of the origins of Azure. And so we'll kind of not go that far back.
We have a couple of podcasts with David that, I can refer. I will put a link in the show notes so y'all can go back and kind of see where it came from, because it really is a very interesting story. But
yes, extremely fascinating, and Azure has just grown so much through the years. And so having these we have very long-term partner relationships that we've had. And then, we bring in new family owned and independent businesses as well that are getting their start
which is amazing for y'all to partner with and give them an opportunity to reach a bigger audience, because marketing and the logistics of that is so hard for small family-owned businesses. So you're a blessing to them.
Well, we really love incubating and growing these businesses and giving them, to your point, giving them their start. It's a very difficult space to get into if they're trying to bring their products to market. Other distributors, other retail spaces, places like that, where they're really trying to promote their product and gain traction with their business is a very difficult space, and it becomes even more and more difficult as time goes on. There's a lot of barriers, there's a lot of hoops you have to jump through, and that's if you can get it in front of a buyer, if you can get it in front of a distributor, and there's a lot of ifs behind that.
Oh yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
and often a lot of money and investment, and so many small businesses, family-owned businesses, end up not thriving because the market is not designed to help them actually
Right. That's right.
come in and have that entry point in and get their products in front of people. It's really sad to see how difficult it is. And then often there's additional things that come along with that when we look at other distributors and those who are giving these brands opportunities, they end up being nickel and dime to death, to where they just,
oh my gosh, yes,
financial standpoint.
Hip Homeschool Moms had a brand called Teaching Toys, which was diamond painting kits and puzzles and things like that, where we put unit studies around them and kind of made homeschooling hands-on. And we used Amazon. And oh my gosh, that is a story in and of itself. That is a zoo. Oh my gosh, it's a zoo. So anyway, yeah, if you haven't used been through that process and gone through the hoops and that continually change and that are so hard, and when you're a tiny business like we are, it's impossible to keep up with all of that. You almost have to hire it out. So yeah, that's such a blessing. That's why I said it. It's just such a blessing knowing how hard it is to enter and how hard it is to compete and actually play in that field. It is almost impossible for a small business to do it. So it's such a blessing that y'all are doing that and bringing people on. So what's the process? I don't have anything, but if somebody did, how would they get to you? How would they be approved or not approved? And what's the criteria?
There's a lot of different ways that businesses can get to us. And one of the key ways is we have a vendor inquiry area on our website where vendors can actually read about our standards first. We want anyone who wants us to consider their products to read about our standards and ensure that their products align with what those standards are. We have an entire unacceptable ingredient list. And although it doesn't have everything on it that, we've listed a number of things, there's still things that aren't on it that we would not.
So give an example of that? Because I think that's part of what makes y'all so different is, it doesn't have to be an extensive list, but like a basic is it's non-G. I know that y'all have a few items that aren't, that don't meet this criteria because you can't find them. They're unavailable, period. But in general, they're non-GMO and organic, right?
So always non-GMO, even if it's conventional. What we call conventional means it's not organic. But it must always be non-GMO. And we require, I know that you wanted to know about documentation when we were talking earlier, and we require what we call affidavits, right? Proof that the product is not genetically modified.
That's fascinating. I love that.
Right. And so, so we have that. Things like non-organic cane or beet sugars are top of the list. Nothing artificial, no artificial colors, flavors, preservatives, sweeteners, things like that.
So many families homeschool because they have, those allergies like you're talking about, and finding a source. I do homeschool road trips too, which we didn't even talk about. I take families on large trips, family trips where we're doing studies like marine biology or whatever. And I also provide the food. I can tell you so many families homeschool because they're trying to avoid those kinds of things. And I don't know how many people even know about y'all. So I'm so excited to share that. So I'm glad you went into that aspect of it because those allergens are so important to some homeschoolers. So I'm sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt, but that was a big deal for me. So I want to jump in.
Interrupt away. Yeah, well, we know that those artificial products are cytotoxins, right? And they create negative responses in the body, and so many other things. We can go down whole another path with that. Right. But certified colors, we don't allow those.
Red fluoride, yes.
Yeah, any of those things. As I mentioned, bleached flour, you'll never find any bleached flour.
I hadn't even thought about that one. I'm gonna after we get off the call, I'm gonna have to ask you about that one because I'm like, wait a minute, what's wrong with bleached flour? So okay, we'll keep going. But
well, just the idea of bleach, right? So you're stripping nutrients and you're stripping things out of it and you're pulling the goodness out of it.
I hadn't even thought about
it. So you don't want to do that. And that's why you see a lot of flours that are enriched. too, right? Because they strip the goodness out and then they put artificial.
Trying to put it back in. Okay. So that makes sense. See, I hadn't even gone down that far. So that's interesting.
Exactly.
Okay.
So those types of things, we're just really specific. And so there's other things on the list, but that's just an idea of some of the items. And then of course that's food. We also look at what we put on our body too, right? So there's things that we are really careful not to have in ingredients that are in like shampoos or skincare products, things like that.
Even the cleaning products. I just started buying your cleaning products and the laundry detergent, and oh my gosh, everything's clean. It's amazing.
Yes. And, we ended up creating, not to go off on a tangent, but real quick, we ended up creating that line because there's so many lines out there in the chemical world. If it's less than, I believe, 5%, and I have to double check that, but I think it's 5%. No, I'm sorry, that's wrong. I think it's 1%. But if there's a minute amount of an ingredient in a cleaning supply, it does not have to be disclosed on the label. And we just thought that was absolutely terrible. Like everything should be disclosed on the label. And there's a lot of cleaners have the SLSs and FLESs that are proven to be carcinogenic.
Wow.
And so we just decided to go out and we partnered with a company who makes our product for us, who is dedicated to products that work, but also
clean,
that are extremely clean and safe. And so the founder of the company was part of the EAP for a long time, and he wanted to leave the world a better place for his family as well. So we always look for those mission aligned companies, even for our own, especially for our own lines, right? Because we want to make sure that we have full alignment in the standards for our brands. And of course, we hold ourselves to extremely high standards for our own brands that we're putting out there. But going back to what you would ask, we attract mission aligned brands that share our beliefs in abundance and wellness and doing what's right, not just selling what's trending.
Right.
And so we're not looking at it from the standpoint of like, what's the trend so we can make a quick buck. It's not about that. So really many of them of the folks who come to us come through sometimes referrals from farmers, from customers. We have a customer suggest a product form on our website. And so customers can go in and suggest product, and we take a look at them and yes.
I have to do my girlfriend I was telling you about.
Oh, see, it just says suggest a product. It comes in, our team looks at it, make sure it aligns with our standards, make sure it's not an MLM, because those just don't.
Oh yeah, I agree. I'm the same way. Yeah,
they don't work coming in through a distributorship, and then from other partners we trust as well. And then we even some of the retail stores that we work with and deliver to will ask us about bringing specific types of products in as well. So it comes that comes from a lot of different places. Others discover us organically through word of mouth, through trade shows, through mutual networks. Right. And they value, that value like regenerative agriculture or integrity in the food supply chain. And so they'll find us and then come present their products, as I mentioned, through our link on the website for vendor inquiries. They'll kind of share about their companies, and we can take a look. We also proactively scout brands that fill the genuine needs of our customers. So we're not just looking for slotting on our shelving in our warehouse, but truly, what is genuinely going to fill the needs of customers think that they're asking for, looking for. We understand a lot of our customer base. Everybody has different reasons for why they come to Azure and purchase from us. And so some are, to your point, like folks who have allergies or their children have allergies. I love getting the stories, with my role, as I shared, I'm the chief experience officer here. And I know people say, what does that mean often? And my husband likes to say, it means I'm the cruise director of the Azure. That's kind of his little joke.
I love that.
It just means my job is to make sure that our customers and our employees have a good experience. So I'm responsible for internal employee experience and external customer experience. And so that touches a lot of things, and it looks at a lot of different things. And so I get letters on my desk, and I have, people who have written in about their autistic children. I have one lady in particular out of Washington who just inspired me. Her son, she came to Azure 20 years ago. Her son was diagnosed autistic. She started using Azure products, bringing in organics, feeding him well, cutting out all the different toxins in food. And he is a thriving young man who's a firefighter today and has no signs of
that's
autism.
beautiful.
And, it just, those stories are so inspiring. Families who write and say, I live in a food desert and, I had cancer and I'm cancer free. Azure supported me in my health while I was going through that journey in my life. And so there's so many reasons why, you just look at it and you go, we're fulfilling genuine needs for customers, not just, another product that will sell and make us a buck, right? That's not what it's about here.
And I think that's one of the things that I think I really want people to hear is the heart. The heart behind Azure is in every decision y'all make. It's an amazing philosophy that you don't see anymore. You don't see, I mean, this is like the neighborhood grocer that has gone national. And so I love that. I love that aspect of Azure. So the heart part.
We like to think of ourselves that way. We like to think of ourselves as local, even though we're in Oregon, because we partner with local vendors throughout the country, and yes, we partner internationally as well. Can't get everything in the U.S.
Unfortunately, right? We're trying to fix that.
Right. Well, even crops, there's just certain crops that don't grow in this country.
That's true. That's true.
I think the last time I looked, the U.S. produces around 1% of the world's organic crops.
Wow.
Right. And
that's surprising.
Yes, it's very small. And even globally, organic crops are still such a small part of what's produced food-wise throughout the world. It's growing and it's a growing segment, but it's it's still the smaller part. So organic crops are not infinite.
That's amazing. I did not know that. So the fact that y'all even can find them, you being that source, and that consolidates everything where we can come to you and find it is amazing. But I had no idea it was so tiny for the
US.
US.
It's a very small footprint of what is grown just even globally. And so there's, you think about all the different people who are vying then for those crops. We grow some of our own. We have long-standing partner relationships, which go way back. So we often get priority when it comes to being able to access the supply chain. That's why during the COVID time, we were able to maintain strong supply when others weren't, because we had long-standing relationships that went way back, and we were able to get priority because of those relationships, which was really great, because we were able to help our customers get access.
Did y'all keep delivering through that? Wow.
We did. Absolutely. It really, because people could come outdoors and pick up off the back of the truck, it really helped, with folks who were uncomfortable, going to stores and such. And the store shelves were often bare in a lot of places. And so we were able to.
I would actually, now that you say that, I would actually think that y'all grew during that time. Did you?
We grew exponentially. Yes, we did. Yes,
what?
We did.
Isn't it crazy how sometimes
it blew us up, and we don't take that for granted, because we know a lot of people had an opposite effect, businesses and such. And we have businesses that we are working with who lost their businesses through that whole ordeal. But, so we don't take that for granted. We actually know that we were very blessed.
Oh my gosh.
To grow at that time, but it exploded us. I mean,
I didn't think about it until you said that. When you said that, I was like, oh, I bet that actually there are a few businesses that, that, again, like you said, you weren't exploiting it. You could, it was a fluke that you were already in that space doing this thing and everybody found out about you. So yeah,
absolutely.
That's amazing.
Absolutely. And so then the other kind of things that, going back to your question about how brands come onto our radar, is, we look for philosophical alignment as well. Are they in it for the long haul? Are they also kind of a quick hit, quick trend type of a brand? And then we just look for heart first, right? We need documentation. We need all those things. We need to make sure it aligns, but is the heart there behind? What are they trying to accomplish in the market? Are they looking for, are they driven by algorithms?
Right.
Because we're not, we're driven by alignment over algorithms. A lot of companies just looking for, what's hot in the market, but we're not curating just brands. We just like we want to curate relationships with our customers, we're curating relationships with the companies who are manufacturing those products that we're bringing in as well.
It's really interesting how, but so when you have these people and do you have, I guess you have salespeople that also go out and meet with other people, but, when you bring the products in, y'all actually test them. You literally have a process around where you have, I think you said a monthly meeting where you sit down.
We do. Yes, we do. So we have we call it a monthly new product meeting. We bring in, so all of our buyers, and we have two different types of buyers. We have commodity buyers who are bringing in the raw products for our Azure private label brands.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
So we have that side of things. And then we have what we call traditional vendor buyers, and they're bringing in brands like your friend that you mentioned who has that tallow, right? So they're bringing in what we call vendor brands that are being made by somebody else. And so they come to the table. We have a monthly meeting, and then line extensions as well. So brands we already carry, existing brands who want to add additional products.
Right. Which would make sense. Right.
So the buyers carry their own number of brands they're responsible for that they order from and bring the products in to keep them stocked on the shelf. And then so everything comes to the table. There's 3 of us on the executive team who are responsible for looking at those products. It's myself, our CEO, and our CIO, our Chief Innovation Officer, which is David's nephew, Benjamin Brewer. And so the buyers come in, they present their products during that time. And we usually have some other people. Sometimes Kimberly Felder comes down, or some other, family members or folks come in, and we'll taste test the product. We'll read the ingredients. We are hands-on with every single product that comes through, and we're looking at, do they meet our standards? Does it have conventional sugar? If it does, then we say, hey, why did you even bring this? You know better. We don't do conventional sugar. But sometimes stuff slips through,
Right.
And so, or, we've got brands who they'll say, well, this brand's working on changing over to organic. So could we consider them when they move their ingredient to organic? And so we're really vetting. We've got customer products that come in that we're looking at too. We have so many customers out there who are doing amazing things in the marketplace as well, and bringing really unique and healthy products to the market as well. So we look at those. And then some of the questions we ask are, when we're doing this hands-on is, can they meet the demand of our customer base?
Oh,
Is they able to keep up with supply? Because you always, as a distributor, you always want to you don't want to out people. You don't want to out of stock the customers. So we want to make sure that as much as possible, the demand can be met by the consumer base who's ordering from us. And we have 2 different, as we talked about before, we have 2 different types of customers. We have our buying club customers like you and your drop and your drop members who are buying direct from the distributor. So you're cutting out that store middleman, and you're and getting direct access. But then we also do have our retail partners who want to meet their end consumer, their end customers' needs as well. A lot of mission aligned health food stores, mom and pops, restaurants who are trying to add organic into their menus, or clean ingredients into their menus. We even have manufacturers who buy from us to make their finished goods. And so it becomes a symbiotic relationship. Yeah, because it's not a lot of our vendors. I can't really say a lot, can't quantify it,
but it's growing.
But we have a number of our vendors who actually, it's a symbiotic relationship. So we source the ingredients, they buy the ingredients from us, and then they send their finished products to us so that we can sell through their finished products. So we know supply chain wise where everything is coming from. So it's really fun when we can work with our vendors in that way. And we have more and more of the smaller vendors and mid-sized vendors that we're able to support in that way. We can get them better pricing than if they try to go out and purchase it for themselves.
Right.
And then we're able to then keep our cost low and turn lower to our customers because we've helped them keep their costs low. They can reduce their prices in a turnaround to our customer base when we bring the product through, the finished good through to sell. It's really that whole supportive supply chain all the way through. And then knowing end-to-end traceability wise, from soil to shelf, where these ingredients are coming from. And that's important for us.
One of the things that kind of surprised me because I'm a new drop buyer. We talked about the fact that I used to do the delivery because it was easy. I mean, you get it when you want it. But I started doing the drops in the last 3 or 4 months, and I met so many people that are in my community that I didn't even know were here. It's to you kept talking about your customers, but your customers have community at the drops, and it becomes a very friendly. I mean, sometimes it's even more than that because you get to know people and you're like, oh my gosh, this is so much fun. And you start buying their products, not even in the middle of Azure. It's like, oh, she sells raw milk or whatever it is. And you end up at their place after meeting them at the drops. It's really fascinating how there's been this little community out here of crunchy mamas that I didn't even know were in my area. And I'm like, I feel like I've kind of been missing out. So it's
I love that. I love that. And that's where our heart is building community, right? And so we always like to say around here, food brings people together.
Yes.
Where do you end up when you go to someone's house?
Yeah, that's right. In the kitchen. That's right.
And so food brings people together, and it does not matter, what your beliefs are, where you stand politically, all those different things that can be so divisive. And when you sit down for a meal, together and you find like-minded things that you can share and discuss around the table.
And
right.
I love that.
So that's our motto around here is food brings people together. And we like to say healthy food to create healthy bodies and healthy minds, because when our bodies are healthy, our minds are healthy and we can make good decisions, healthy decisions. When you're sick, all you can think about, David likes to say, all you can think about is getting well. But when you are well, then you are able to focus on other things. And I love those stories. I love that you're finding community and people that you've never met before.
And that's tiny. You know how little we are. We just talked about that. It's like
exactly
tiny little
community people, right? I mean, you said you're in town of what, 800?
One of them, I'm in between LaGrange and Grand Junction. So Grand Junction has about 800, but LaGrange has like 180 at most.
There you go. So, yeah, and it's amazing how even in a town, even like Dufur with 600 people, that you still don't know everybody, right?
No, it's crazy.
How is that possible?
I know.
But folks, and so I love hearing. It goes back to like what I was talking about, the stories of the families who have been helped through the food for their health. I get other types of letters as well, like wedding invitations to,
oh my God,
I met my husband or my wife at an Azure drop.
Or funny, I knew that was going to be the case. Y'all need to have that. Y'all need to have that heart line.
Or I'll get a picture of an Azure baby, and they'll be like, "We had our Azure baby," or just people who've made really close friendships. And I love to hear those stories because that's what it's about. In such when you live in such a disconnected society, right?
And divided, even if it's not,
divided, so right? Hard. Disconnected and divided society. We're like, okay, we're this food distributor out of Oregon, but it's so much more than that. It's how do we bring these communities together? And it's why our model is designed the way it is, where people come together at a drop point and they pick up together and they help each other and they help unload the truck and they help carry things to people.
And they do.
That's right.
We were talking about it off camera. I took over being a drop coordinator a couple of months ago in my area. I was talking about how the person before me had missed a couple of drops because I think she had taken a job outside of our area, and she just wasn't here. She wasn't able to be here. And so, but the drop kept going. It's like the people knew what they were doing and they knew how to help. They just stepped right on up and just did it. It wasn't even a big deal. So it's fascinating.
And we know that happens but we love it. And we love hearing this. I love hearing the stories.
Yeah.
How relationships are being formed and people are coming together and helping each other. And to your point, we hear it all the time. Yes, people are purchasing Azure products, but they also have they'll bring fresh bread to sell that they're baking.
Yes.
And so they support each other. They're supporting, somebody brings eggs, somebody brings, a tallow ointment, somebody brings,
I love it. I think there's probably some opportunity here for people that don't really even understand who Azure was before this or who they are. Going to a drop is so much different than what people think. They think it's just, picking up your groceries and leaving. It is nothing like Walmart. It's nothing like this. It is really, truly community based, and it's friendship based. And like you and I were talking about, there's 3 of us that kind of rotate through the drop coordinator role here, and we just take care of each other. And whoever's available is the one who's doing the drop coordinator that month. One of us is lead, because you have to have a lead, but in general we just all have each other's back. We just take care of it. It's like we didn't want to lose the drop. It was more important for us to maintain the drop than it was who was drop coordinator, I guess is the way to put it. And
Right.
so we just all stepped in and took care of it. But that's what I see. The community is so fun. And like I said, I met so many people, and some of them are, they drive, like they're driving from 30 minutes the other direction. And those are people that I probably never would have met if they had not come to a drop. So it is,
Right.
it's expanding my community in a good way, in a way that I told you I'm getting ready to go into regenerative farming. Well, I met a gentleman who's not even 20 miles from my house who I didn't know, who's raising cows. And I was like, okay, I need to know you, because here for a while I'm going to be buying some cattle. So it's become more than just even a community. It's almost become a source in and of itself, which I had never expected.
And I love that. And that's really what it's designed for, right?
That's amazing.
We want to see that happen. And I always like to say to folks, grow it yourself first, local next, and Azure for the rest.
Well, I have fallen in love with the concept. I knew, like I said, we talked about, I knew Azure, and I knew what they kind of stood for as far as their products, but I didn't understand the depth and the breadth of it. So learning more about it and how you partner and how you bring people together, it's just amazing to me. The other thing that y'all do that I'm sure is under you, and I'm going to ask you about it on the spot. Sorry. Okay, here we go. But I'm sure is the whole aspect about educating the consumers, because for me, y'all are a part of I do a Wonderings e-magazine every month. And Maria has allowed me to go and get, different articles from your blog and bringing in the educational aspect, because that's who I am. I'm all about education and helping people learn. And y'all have these amazing articles. I just did one this month. It was the preparation and the canning, or the different ways that you can store food. Y'all have like a whole series of like 10 articles or something on how to store food. So you're teaching us, you're helping us learn the old ways that my mama didn't teach me. Right?
Right. Absolutely. Well, for sure. And that goes in, I like to say I'm in lockstep with our marketing team. And so customer experience and marketing, meaning education,
Yes.
And getting information out. We like to see ourselves as that, an educational company. And even working with our service teams and our sales teams, it's all about bringing people to the ecosystem, and you never know what's going to bring them. Maybe it's that 25-pound box of apples, organic apples, right, they needed for a snack for their child, or in the South. And I told you I used to live in Alabama. It could be that, we just happen to have a really great price on black-eyed peas.
That's right.
And it's gonna get soaked in butter and ham hock and everything else. But it's the entry point into getting connected. And then once you're connected, we're like, and now we're going to educate you.
That's right.
Right. And we're going to give you resources, whatever those resources are that you need, whether it's learning how to can, whether it's learning how to do a food pantry, how to have long-term food storage, whether you're looking for healthy supplements because you have a nutritional deficiency, whatever it may be, we're looking for ways that we can help, again, educate the population to move in a direction of what health looks like for them.
Yeah.
Right. And so you had kind of mentioned this to me prior to us coming to the podcast, when I was kind of reading through some of the things that you wanted to talk about. And one of the questions was around our products, and we have stepping stone products. We like to call them stepping stone products. Maybe it's something that is in that not organic, it's in that kind of conventional space of what I defined of what we call conventional, non-GMO, better few ingredients. but people have to start somewhere. Not everybody's ready to dive into organic 100%.
Well, it's an education, like we were just talking about. It truly is an education.
Yeah, absolutely. So we want to get people there.
Right.
We want them to see value in organic, and why eating the way that, by the way, is it to us and to me is crazy. Like, it's the way God intended our food to be. It's the way food was designed from the beginning, and then it's become a tag, a label, and really it's the way, it's going back to the original way food was grown and designed to be for our bodies, not synthetically treated or chemicals or all these different things that we've done to food through the years. But, not everybody's ready for that big step. And so they start somewhere in the journey. If we can help them with some stepping stone products that maybe I'm not going to eat that particular product, I'm in a different place in my journey now. David's not going to eat that particular product because, he's probably about as purist as you can get. Not probably, I know he's as purist as you can get. And I'm probably personally more like 90-10 in being a purist, and it took a while to get there. I wasn't 90-10. It's taken a while to get to that place in my life where I continue to improve on what I'm ingesting or putting on my body, and becoming more and more kind of dedicated to it, even when you're traveling. And sometimes it's hard when you're traveling to do that, and being very purposeful. But, we want people to have that entry point and that access so they can come in, they can access those better for you entry point, stepping stone products. And then we start helping educate and grow an understanding of, why do I want to make sure I don't have artificial colors and flavors?
That's right.
Why do I want to not have flour?
And
why
what is, you just said something a second ago when you were talking about the cleaners, about things that are in there, and you said this is unacceptable for even this amount to be in there. That was something that I had not heard. So you're educating even me just sitting here talking to you about stuff. It's so interesting, but people don't know that. I mean, we're just really starting to figure out, some of the things that are bad for us. And I guess it's like you said, it's a journey, and it depends on where you are in your own personal journey. Some people, like the autistic mom, the mom who had an autistic child, she had been working on, moving in that direction for 20 years. And like you said, and then there are other people that, something comes up. I have Hashimoto's and, thyroid issues. And so I'm actually taking one of your thyroid nourish products, which I love. And so some of it is, it happens, and all of a sudden you have to go do all this darn research that you don't know what you're looking for. But that's one of the things that I love, y'all, not just on your blog. And if y'all haven't looked at their blog, you need to go look at their blog, because I actually have great recipes over there, which I also share in my magazine. But you do have the educational part. The one that I loved was the flour one, where you show what flour is good for what product, or what they're doing in their own kitchen. I was like, oh my gosh, I did that when I was like 18 years old. Where was this when I needed it? Because I don't think there's anything out there like that.
It can be daunting, right? It can be daunting to look and go, okay, we carry, I think, like 900 different types of flour products, right? And so when you look and you say, well, pumpkin seed flour, or garbanzo bean flour, spelt flour, einkorn flour, what do I use all of these for? And what is the best types of uses for those types of flour? Because fail greatly if you use the wrong flour for the wrong type. And even for me, it's taken years. We're still always learning and growing, so that we're always on a mission to learn more. Even as a company, we sit and go, as things evolve, like, what's knowledge we don't have, and then how can we get new knowledge that we can put out to our customers as we learn it ourselves. Because I know a lot of things, but I don't know everything.
Well, make more of those flour. The way you did that flour one was so perfect. I'm serious. I saved it off, and it's like, I go to it. I'm like, this is what people need. I mean, it's just that basic, quick, I want to, bake a pie, what's the best, flour for the pie versus bread. I mean, it's totally different. And so you're looking. So anyway, it was a great guide. And it was one of those, I was like, why hasn't anybody else done this before? I can see that being there for a lot of different things, but flour is the big one.
Yeah, and we love that feedback. If there's other resources that customers are needing or wanting, our service team is really great with passing that information. They have a pathway, a feedback loop pathway to
Mhm.
get that information to me. And so we call it a customer experience notification or reporting form. So when the team hears this type of feedback, customers are looking for specific things. It's not that it goes to some empty hole somewhere
Right.
and nobody ever sees it. The team submits those things forward and saying customers are looking for this, or they're asking about that, or can they have this type of a resource? They're looking for this resource. And then I look at those things and then go wherever we need to go within the team to make sure that we're providing the resources customers are looking for and needing. Because again, there's so many things out there that that different people are experiencing, and it, like for you with your Hashimoto situation, you are looking for things specific to support your need. Well, so many people have different types of needs.
I know. And
And
how far can you even go? I mean, you can't educate everybody on every single thing. I realize that. But like keto is huge, low carb. That would be another guide that I would say, you might do when you go to a traditional grocery store like a Sprouts, they have the labels, keto, and it's so easy when you go in the store, you look at it. That might be something else that y'all do is, labeling things, where here's your keto brands and here's your this and that. I mean, to me, because and my husband's carnivore, he's even more restrictive than I am. One of the other things I really wanted to before I let you go, because I know you have meetings, and thank you so much for spending so much time with us today.
Oh, it's my pleasure. It's my pleasure.
But one of the other things I want to cover is Azure is kind of evolving, and maybe you've always been this, and maybe I just didn't realize it, but I've always thought of Azure as more of a bulk purchasing location, where you buy it in bulk and you get it. But that's really not who you are. You really are almost like the local grocery store, and you can also save money by buying bigger quantities where the pricing goes down. And I want to be sure that people realize that you are that local grocery store that delivers once a month, essentially.
That's right. Purchasing in bulk is definitely where you get your most value.
Right.
And some folks say, well, there's two of us, buying in bulk isn't really
or no storage,
or right, don't have storage for it. Well, so some of the drops, and I know of one down actually in Dauphin Island, Alabama, and
I love Dathan. Yeah.
They actually have, and more than just their drop, I know there's other community drops that do the same thing, where they kind of do a true food buying club model. So they'll buy in bulk, and then they actually will divide 5-pound blocks of cheese up. Everybody brings their packages and they split it up and they share the cost. So they do a full bulk food buying cost sharing program within their drops. So some drops are actually doing that so people can
get the lowest price.
Even save, they get the lowest price, and then they split it and they save doing it that way. So we have some of those like true.
That's fascinating. I had never thought about doing that. I'm glad you shared that.
So he brings it right into the church, and they dip down the bags into, people bring their containers with them, and they weigh everything, and it's kind of a big event for their drop. And there's more. I know he's not the only one. I know
that's just one you remember. Yeah.
Well. That's just one I know. So that's one way for folks to be able to, really gain access that when you pull together, that is true community, right?
Right.
And
that is.
And helping each other access affordable organics. But so buying in bulk is always your better price point. And then we provide in what we call case packs or pick quantities. And that means we'll take a bulk, say it comes in a case of 12, we'll break it into 2 groups of 6 or several groups of 3. And then you can buy a 3-pick or a 6-pick. It still gives you a reduced price, but it's not quite as reduced as buying.
That's right. That's right. And I do that. I do that a lot, as a matter of fact. And honestly, I mean, for families that are, cooking any amount, buying 3 of something at a time is kind of normal. I mean, that's what you do when you go to the grocery store. So I love that y'all do that, because that I've never seen that before, where you are, usually it's either big or little, you buy it like a grocery store or you buy it in bulk. And so it's kind of nice to have those little in between sizes where you can still save a little bit of money, but it's not overburdensome to store, etc.
Absolutely. And then we do that. So we do that intentionally. And then we have the individuals. If somebody just wants sometimes they just want to try something before they
I do that too.
So they'll buy a can of this or a box of that. So we have that as well, for what we call eaches, an individual piece of something. And so we want to give everybody an opportunity to order in the way that makes sense for them. Personally, I mean, it's just down to my husband and I. My youngest just got married and left this year.
Congratulations.
So thank you. We have 3, and then he was our final, and empty nester is a unique new place to be.
I'm there, and I don't like it. So
I know I don't like it either. It took me a while not to cry going to his bedroom, and I'm like, okay, I can open the door now. So
so many of us feel you.
Oh, I'm telling you, it's hard, but it's good. It's a new season of life, but it's still hard. So, it's just my husband and I still buy in more bulk quantities, do food storage and things like that. Plus, you never know when the kids are going to come grocery shopping at the house.
Oh, I know. Grocery store.
That's right. They come to the pantry, and
right.
And as a matter of fact, it just happened this weekend that my son and his wife came by and grocery shop. They're 21 and 22, so they're I'm like, come get your groceries. But I still buy, in pick quantities or bulk quantities, because for me personally, knowing that food doesn't actually expire, and that's another piece of that education piece. We have so much waste in this country.
Right.
Knowing that food does not expire, it can go bad, obviously, but it doesn't expire. I'm fine with a can sitting on my shelf that's 2 years old, past expiration or best by date, and so I know that food's still going to be good. So if I get the better price, I'm fine with getting a better price and slowly working through it. But that's a personal decision for each
and it's based
person.
on your house and your money. Sometimes
exactly. And whether you have the room to do that too, right?
Yeah.
I happen to have a bedroom that's become a pantry,
an extra one that you're like,
right.
What am I gonna do with this?
That's right. So my husband was happy I took it all out of the garage. He got his garage back. So anyway, so it is all about that, and it's all about making sure that people have access to the best products that will support their health and their part of the journey, and helping them along that journey to wellness. And so our mission is more than we're just selling somebody a can of beans or a 25-pound bag of rice. It goes so much more further beyond that. And so our heart is always, how do we bring in, the best possible products for people to meet them where they are?
And that really is who you are. And that's what I see. And so I appreciate you being here with me today, Karen. It's fascinating to see the thought behind everything that y'all do. There's so much there that I don't think people necessarily understand that or see that when they just go to the site and they're purchasing. So I really wanted to unpack that. And I knew you were the right person to do that. Chief Experience Officer is a fun title. It's a very different title. I'm sure that was, like you said, it wasn't even a title when you started there. So, but it's a perfect title. It really does explain, when I heard it, I was like, oh yeah, well, I know exactly. I mean, I didn't fully understand that it also included your employees. So you mentioned that during this conversation, but it's a good title, and it really is. It kind of exposes the heart of who you are. It is an experience, and you are trying to make sure that everyone has a great experience. And so I appreciate that. I appreciate your time. I appreciate you unpacking everything and explaining to us how you source and why you source where you source, because I had no idea that 1% of America is organic. It's like, what? Only 1%? So you're educating as you go today. So thank you so much for being here and just having these conversations, because I think that helps people make better decisions when they know these kinds of things. And that explains why some things are just outrageously expensive. It never occurred to me that it was so limited in quantity.
Yes. Yes. But we're trying to change that.
That's right.
And
y'all are doing a great job.
We're going to keep working toward that, because I think it's important that more and more farmland and more people farm this way and build out to be well more than 1% of what we produce.
That's right. Well, thank you so much. We'll actually have Karen again. Is it next month that we have you again?
I believe so. Yes.
So we'll be talking to Karen next month about a different topic. I do appreciate you being here, and thank you so much for your time. And thank you so much for, just for sharing the heart and who Azure is, because I think that is as important as the products, because there is a beautiful mission behind Azure.
Thank you. It's been my pleasure.
Okay. We'll talk again next month.
Yes.
Bye, everybody. We'll see you soon.
Thanks for joining me here for this homeschool conversation. If this is your first time here, I'd love for you to join and subscribe so we can keep walking this journey together. And if today's episode encouraged you, please share it with a friend, because homeschooling is better when we lift each other up. Keep learning, keep wondering, most of all, keep showing up. You're doing something amazing, Mom. See you next time.